Hello there. Welcome to the full moon, the full snow moon. And the moon is in Leo. And the sun is therefore in Aquarius. So full moons are always oppositions of two signs. So they're always a little bit intense. When you get Leo and Aquarius together, you get two fixed signs, which can make the full moons a little more intense, just like when it's Taurus, Scorpio, or vice versa. So what you expect then when fixed signs are opposing are more polarities, disagreements, stubbornness, passion. But yeah, definitely polarities. We see this everywhere right now, of course. Thing with the Leo moon is that this is the lion. When the moon or your unconscious, emotional, subconscious nature, who you were when you were a kid, when you were a baby, before you were aware of pleasing other people, before you were aware of authority. That's who you were as your moon sign. So when your moon is in Leo, you're just here to shine. You're here to shine, and that's it, that's all. However, it's the moon, not the sun. The sun shines, the moon is shining at night. So sometimes the Leo moon has a hard time figuring out, well, where can I shine? When is it okay for me to shine? Is it all right for me to do it at night in the dark? Do I have to be shining but behind the scenes instead of up front and center? Possibly. But because even though it's a sensitive, emotional moon, the moon is sensitive and emotional, Leo is just too strong. So that means you have a very strong-willed person. You have a very independent person. Again, the need to shine could come out in ways that are like not so great, like grandstanding and wanting too much attention and being really boastful or needy. But in many ways, the Leo moon is like a natural at holding their presence, holding the stage, holding the floor. And they're like a performer. They know how to perform. They also, though, they will not be dominated by anybody. So no matter how sensitive a sign you're dealing with, no matter what else we're going to see in this chart, just know that at a time of a Leo, whoa, I disappeared there. This background thing, it's like, anyway, I still like it, but it's just like, oh, is that better? That's better. Okay. Leo moons, yeah, Leo moons will not be intimidated or dominated. They will stand up. So, how is this relevant right now? Well, of course it's relevant. Look at all the threats being made by Trump towards other countries. All the flippant announcements getting everybody extremely upset. This is a perfect example. The Leo moon in everybody is going to stand up to him. And they have so far. Canada has, Mexico has, Greenland has, a bunch of people. So we're just probably going to continue to see more of this. And maybe, I don't know, who knows who he's going to pick on next. So, but if in your own life you're going through anything like that, where you need to stand your ground, and show leadership and, not let people, I don't know, put you down or take credit for for your work or whatever have you. That Leo moon is going to make sure that you do not let that happen. Yes, it has pride to it, but that pride can also, it can be a downfall, but having no pride is not good either, because then you'll just be a doormat. So this is a moon we're going to take a look at where we'll just see, is there an energy of being a doormat or taking a lead? Boy, this thing is bugging me tonight. Can I stick? Okay, I'll sit back here. Now it's not so, felt like I'm a hologram or something looking at myself in this video. Okay. All right, let's share the chart. Oh, but before I start, I wanted to say my courses now in person are up and running. And every 2 weeks, there will be a course in Pointe Claire Village. If you're here in the Montreal area, it's called Le Nom du Village, Pointe Claire Village. It's all over my social media right now, all the ads. My Intuition Cafe has the invites, and my newsletter. If you want to sign up for my free newsletter, I'll put the link to that. And I will have intuition circles once a month, and then I'll have a workshop once a month. So this month, it's going to be this Sunday, the 9th of February is going to be an intuition circle. And then on the 13th, I have an event for Valentine's related at the same place for readings. It's Read My Lips. So literally, you put something on your lips, you make a print on a Kleenex or a napkin, and I literally read what I see from your lip print. I've done it a few times. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. So if you want to sign up for those readings, I will put the name of the store and the link to their website also below, so you can sign up. Also, the next workshop would be in 2 weeks. So what's that, February 23rd or something? Is a Sunday? Let's see, 9, 4, yeah. That will be a pendulum workshop. So that'll be fun because we're in a gem store surrounded by beautiful gems and pendulums. So if any of this interests you, whether you want to grow your intuitive abilities, join my Intuition Cafe. If you want to grow your abilities in person, you can come to my workshop. I will start to have these online as well, but right now I'm establishing in-person things again since people are wanting that. And that makes me super happy at a time like this, the age of Aquarius, meeting our tribe, coming out in person, super important. So, but I will have both. I will have both soon. All right, without further ado, let's take a look at this chart. All right. So as you can see, there's a cluster of planets here. We have an Aries as our ascendant for this full moon. That's adding extra fire to that Leo. It's not an exact aspect. So you see, here's the moon down here, 24 Leo, which is almost sitting on Regulus, which is something else we'll talk about in a minute. It's making a trine to Chiron. Chiron is right here on the ascendant with Aries. So, boy, the moon trine Chiron, 2 fire signs, your needs and your wounds working together in a fire sign. So this is like a huge indication of any wounds to yourself, to your ego, your personal sense of integrity and dignity. These, I would say, are going to be coming up and will need to be addressed, and you'll need to do it in a healthy way. As I mentioned, when you have the moon opposite the sun in Aquarius, you've got a lot of, stubbornness and resistance. Now, the sun and Mercury together in Aquarius are going to, be a very strong combo. They're both just extra rational, right? Leo moons are all about raw passion and feeling, like bawling your eyes out as you propose to somebody is a very Leo moon thing, or I don't know, like just being flushed with joy at something, at the birth of a child, or having making grand gestures to show somebody how much you love them. It's very Leo moon kind of stuff. When it comes to Sun and Mercury and Aquarius, though, they don't want to see big displays of emotion. They'd rather be anonymous. They're going to keep that private. They're not even maybe going to show their even intimate partner those big passionate feelings. So it just basically means you have two planets there cooling things down. So what happens then is you see big passionate displays of emotion or courage. It's another thing with Leo. Courageous and, like I said, indomitable moon. Passionate, met with a coolness and a logic. So that means, you know, we're going to see people fighting off different types of oppositions or forces that they feel are trying to take their space, even their land, you know, in the case of Gaza, like their holy land, they're stripping them of things, stripping people of their rights. We're going to see a lot of passionate pleas, but we're also going to see a lot of like detached, logical responses too. We're going to see both. So when you see the moon trine Chiron, though, that's emphasizing the side that is making the passionate pleas. And it's still making a sextile here to Mercury and the Sun. So this is really strong, especially when the Aries is the rising sign, because this Aries is ruled by Mars. It's the god of war. You know, it's the planet of action. It's the pioneer. It's the fresh start, the impulse, the dash in there and, you know, like react first, think later. So it's really a time of heightened emotion, but also action. This is not a backing down, oh, well, let it happen, let go with the flow kind of full moon at all. Now, the moon is also sitting here very close to Regulus. If you've been following me a while, you've heard me talk about Regulus. It's a fixed star, and it's basically the legend of a king who rose to popularity and power very quickly, almost like, you know, like a rocket ship, you know, launching him, like a magical thing almost, you know, how fast and great it was. But then it's also met with a dying fall because he was assassinated as well. It's sort of the lesson of like, you know, if you rise too quickly and you don't manage it well, it goes to your head, you get arrogant. And in your overenthusiasm, arrogance, entitlement, whatever, the jealousy that it creates, the disdain that, you know, maybe you're displaying towards others without knowing it, like, and he was assassinated. So I don't want to make predictions about stuff like that. But with that symbolism in the air, it just adds an extra edge to, and, you know, political or not, like, think about yourself, think about your own life, your own process. Are there ways that you have been allowing others to infringe on you? Are there ways you haven't been honoring your own sense of dignity? Or have you been stepping up with courage lately? Because sometimes in order to change, you know, a lot of the time in order to change our lives for the better or to move things forward out of a stuck place, we have to be bold and courageous. And the moon in Leo combined with all the Aries planets can definitely fuel this desire to do something bolder. Also, even though it's not making an aspect to it, Venus has now moved into Aries as well. It's going to be there till the end of March. Then it retrogrades and it comes back. So Venus is going to be in Aries for a while. And it's in the 12th house of this chart, which is, the Eastern time zone. So that's covering, New York, Washington, Toronto. So Venus in Aries is like kid-like, sort of cheerleader-like. It's impulsive. It's very social, very open, can connect quickly, but, on a more surface level, but it can connect really quickly with people. So popular, like a cheerleader, like I said. There's no better image than rah, 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 sis boom ba, with the pom-poms. It's Venus and Aries, and they might just out of nowhere just do a backflip. It's very impulsive and, likes to just, it has a desire to be first. It has a desire to just run in and try something without worrying about the consequences. Like, what could go wrong, kind of attitude. So again, fire planets helping out other fire planets. As far as fire is the aspect of action and passion, also anger or destruction. So depends how we handle it, which one it turns out to be. Harnessing those big emotions and using it for a bold or courageous step forward can be magical in our lives. It can really change the game and set things in motion. But if it's done with impulse or revenge, or it's out of pure ego, it can be ugly, right? It can backfire. So I'm expecting we'll see both. We'll see some big reactions over the next few days, whether that's in your personal life or we see it playing out globally. We'll see some tantrums, but we'll probably also see some shows of strength and leadership. We're already seeing it, actually. I'm Canadian. I'm just going to say Canada has definitely stepped up to show leadership, and it's made such a difference that the joke here, even though I'm in Quebec, is when you can get Quebecers to be nationalistic, to admit they're proud to be Canadian, and the Liberals are rising in the polls, that's saying a lot. We will not be the 51st state. That's a Leo moon kind of moment. The pride that kicks in, that will fight back only if you bite us, versus like the soft Cancer that we are, that Leo side. Yeah, no, we're not backing down. Nobody in Canada is backing down on this one. So we're going to see, and I think they've handled that well. But we might see other things that are brought up, or other people's responses that are not very nice. So just expect this full moon to have a lot of passion, and reaction and anger, a lot of courage, a lot of and some moments of solid leadership. Some also generosity is another part of Leo moon. They can be very generous to others. So we could also see that. So we have this cluster here in the 12th house in Pisces still, and a lot of this is going to go forward into Aries as well this year. So we're seeing, I'm getting this info from, I was watching a video by Pam Gregory. I didn't do this research myself. But she was saying, Pam Gregory's got a lot of YouTube videos on astrology. You should check them out. The last time she said that we had this many planets shifting into Aries, and 0 degrees Aries, which is going to be Saturn and Neptune. I believe the North Node also are all going to be at 0 degrees Aries at the same time. this year. We haven't seen that in 12,000 years. 12,000. And what is Aries? What is 0 degrees Aries? It is the birth of a new chapter. It is literally ground zero, clean slate. The fog and the mysticism, sometimes Pisces also like the withdrawing, the fantasizing, the escapism, the victimhood, the martyrdom. Pisces, it's over, okay? It's ending. And on top of the age of Aquarius, which we're now in, Pluto's now at 2 degrees, we have this era ushering in of Aryan energy. And we're going to see far more things birthed and started. We're going to see the beginning of what is this new world? What is this new world? And it's sort of a scary and exciting time. It's a test in a way of our mettle. And we can use, this is where it's on every person to find your mental strength, to use all of this Aries energy to rebirth your life too. Because it's almost like something comes in and it just literally flips the book and says, that book's done. Now we're opening a new book. And there's enormous change and upheaval and, enormous fear when things change that quickly. However, when things are changing that quickly, there's always chaos, but within chaos, there is also something so alive to manifest something else quickly too. So I think as these planets move out of Pisces this year, I'd have to check exactly the dates, but I think it's in a few months. I think we're looking at June, but I have to double check. We're going to definitely feel we are not in the same world we were. So now what? Who do you want to be in the new world? How do you want to change your life quite radically? If you're ready, this could really be a year to change your life radically. So Saturn, as I mentioned, is still in Pisces. It's still trine Mars in Cancer. Very intuitive, very flowy place. The 12th house, unconscious energy, hidden energy. Mars in Cancer also hides. It's in the 4th house of family. It's still a nice thing. If you want, for now, if you're feeling more introverty and you just want to be within your flow, be in your head, isolate. Probably lots of people are doing that. Saturn in the 12th house is not nice though in Pisces. That's a very the desire to escape or hide your head in the sand to that degree isn't good. So we have to try our best right now, even if we're feeling jittery or nervous for the changes to come. Try not to just put your head in the sand. Try not to just keep, drinking or eating or whatever you're doing. You have to come up for air and face the feelings of what is changing and start to think about what do you want in your future next. Because we can't hide from these big changes. And Saturn in Pisces just wants to escape. And sometimes that placement, Saturn in the 12th, could even mean like institutionalizing and, feeling literally trapped. It could globally correspond to this whole move of people to Guantanamo. it can be imprisonment. So we don't want to feel imprisoned in the middle of a rebirth time, even though it's scary. North Node is also in the 12th, right next to Neptune. Again, difficult to connect to these energies since they're in the 12th house. But what this would basically mean is that if you do feel the need to withdraw from participation in society right now because it's all too much, then you need to be actively practicing your spiritual practices, your faith, whatever that is. That's the positive way to use that combination. If you're retreating like a hermit into the woods to seek enlightenment right now, to seek peace, calm, insight, to listen to your inner guidance, to connect to your psychic side, to listen to your dreams, to read deeper books than you've ever read, yes, go ahead. You know, that's the best use of that energy. But like I said, a lot of the time, 9 times out of 10, this is going to be somebody who's just doesn't want to get out of bed, binge watching stuff and binging on food, drink, alcohol, drugs, to not face reality. And that's where that can backfire. It's really important to take a look at how do you really want your life to change? Because it's possible setting these things in motion. So we still have Uranus here in Taurus. It's getting towards the end as well, but I think it goes into Gemini this year, but again, I have to check the books for when. And, you know, Uranus and Jupiter both making a trine to Pluto. So again, there's just lots of surprises, shocks. Uranus and Taurus has been giving us too many shocks to our stability, but it's still not done. Jupiter's just been adding like 1,000,001 people and options and things to our plates in a fun way sometimes and in a overwhelmed way other times. And at least it's trining Pluto, so it's, if you're like I said, if you're using this energy to be open to new people, open to new groups, open to new things to do, then you're honoring this Aquarian age energy of, you know, allowing yourself and the people around you and your communities and your alliances to realign with, you know, what you feel is more true to you. But when Uranus is there, you've got to be a bit ready to like be experimental and get out of your comfort zone, or you might be launched out of your comfort zone too. So it's an interesting chart. It's an interesting message this time, isn't it? Let's take a look at the tarot. All right, let's see what else the cards have to add. All right. What else do the cards have to say for us? So, any other messages the cards have besides what I said? So we've got the King of Discs. So we have a very solid, a solid male around who's got a lot of resources and probably meaning, you know, wealth, but it doesn't necessarily have to be money. It could be resources, could be land, he could own excuse my language. I hate this. I can't seem to sit at the right distance to be seen in this thing. Okay. So we have a guy who's probably wealthy in terms of land or livestock or, yeah, could be anything. Real estate person, could be. I don't think it's representing Elon, by the way. I don't feel it's that. This is somebody grounded. This is somebody very solid, somebody we would all trust. This to me feels more like, and I'm not sure who, but let's say on the political stage, it might be somebody who is strong and grounded and able to stand up to what's going on. This person is not afraid. This person's not afraid. My cat is suddenly screaming. I don't know if you hear her. So this gives me a feeling that, and again, I'll stop being political, but in our own lives, okay, think about who's around you, who's like a protector type of person, who's around you that you would trust no matter what, who has the strength and the resources and the stamina to step up. That could be in your personal life. That could be your dad. That could be your husband. That could be your brother. That could be somebody like hopefully your mayor or something. That could be anybody that's able to do that for you. So this is a nice protective feeling. I like that. Yes. Hi. Shh, shh, shh. She eats and then she cries. Anyway, she's an old cat. All right, so second card is the Nine of Wands. Now, the Nine of Wands is a Sag card. Again, it's fire, but it's, it's a number 9. So by the time you hit the number 9, it's not so impulsive. It's the fire has been tended and it's like a nice contained strong fire. Okay. It's not like the beginning of Aries where you're like rubbing the sticks together and you see the sparks. This is, think of a hearth. Think of like the one behind me in this video. Aries is like the candle flame. Sagittarius is like a big, and Leo are more like big fires, but they're contained. Now, the Nine of Wands, it says strength. And again, it's people that it's the energy of wanting to protect and maintain what you've already built. So once again, this is interesting. This is 2 messages of forces that are protecting and maintaining what is already good in there, what has already been established that is good. That's hopeful. Wow. And then we have the King of Wands. Now this would be, King of Wands would be more a typical Leo or Sag type of card. Again, he can be very bold and courageous and dash in, and he's not afraid of anything either, but you can see the difference. He's how much more he's charged up and ready to pounce. Whereas the King of Wands, the King of Discs has, he's connected to the horses on the ground resting. It's not like ready to charge in with a baton of fire, So that definitely tells me there's somebody really impatient around, somebody dominant, and somebody who's willing to charge in and do battle. And that could be anything or anybody. So this is really what I'm feeling this whole full moon. We're going to see challenges and people stepping up to these challenges, fighting back. So in your own life, what could that look like? Again, if you feel you've been mistreated, if you feel you've been pushed around, if you feel you haven't been valued, you're not being paid enough, if you have been tolerating crap for too long, if you've been people pleasing for too long, if you've not been having your dignity respected, you will be taking action. You will be saying something and you'll be taking action. And even if you don't, you're going to feel enormous pressure. So, very interesting. Okay, let's take a look for each sign now. How can we phrase this? Let's see. Okay, I'm going to ask the cards, what is your wound? What is your core wound that you need to step up on? Where have you perhaps been disrespected or violated that you need to step up? Big questions, eh? The chunky stuff today. All right, Aries, where have you been wounded and need to stand up? The Star. So the wound has to do with your dreams and ideals, which maybe sometimes people have said are too much, too lofty, unrealistic. And other times people have said that they're totally inspiring. And maybe you're caught in between, not knowing which it is. So there's definitely, especially with all the Aries planets about to show up, this is your time. This is going to be your time to shine. So if you've ever wanted to go for a dream of yours, I would say really now is the time. Now, you still have to make sure that it's realistic. However, realistic at some times in our lives is daydreaming in another and vice versa. Sometimes you have the capacity, things line up in a certain way that you can ask a little more and daydream, dream a little bigger. And other times in our lives, things are just not lining up that way. And if you have that big dream and it's really not realistic at that time, then you feel very disappointed. So you still have to get a vibe or a pulse of what's going on around you, but it would be more of a time to go for the bigger side of your dreams. Aim towards that. All of these Aries planets are going to be hanging around for a while in your sign. You're going to have Saturn will be there for 2.5 years. Neptune will be there for, I didn't check, but probably at least 12. North Node's going to move in there. It'll be in 2.5, 3 years that's there. So you've got, think about like the next 2 to 3 years for sure as a time when you can push forward. All right, Taurus, what is the wound that you need to address or stand up to? What, the Hermit? Well, it's sort of like your, whatever tendency you might have to withdraw. If you're, but the thing is, like we said, the Hermit withdraws in a good way to try to get insight and to sort of clear and cleanse their heads by withdrawing. So again, withdrawing to pursue your spiritual practices or your healing work, your introspective work is a big yes. But if you are on the escapist side or the isolating yourself side, then that would be the wound. Is like anytime things are hard, not going your way, you isolate, if that's the case. Now, it's going to be a little tougher time for Taurus with all of these Aries planets. So the Hermit makes sense, actually, because there will be all of these Aries planets in your sign at least the next 2 to 3 years more strongly. It's going to be in your 12th house. It's going to be accenting that part of your life, which is introspective. So you may feel like you need to sort of hunker down and withdraw more than usual. It's a sensitive thing, right? Like if you're choosing solitude because it brings you peace, genuinely peace, not escapism, not shame and running away, then you're safe to do it. But if you're isolating and divorcing yourself from the world and reality, and you just want to avoid everything and bury your head in the TV, and it's escapist, it's not going to work well for you over the next couple of years. But if it's a period of going within, of learning, it could even be research, it could be meditation, it could be anything, but it has to be bringing you enlightenment. It might be a period where you're doing therapy. You know, that's another good use of 12th house planet time. Gemini, what would be the wound that you are needing to step up on? Okay. Well, and you got the King of Swords, which could easily be a Gemini. To me, this would be like a wound. Either you're dealing directly with the wound of somebody that is a King of Swords in your life. So it could be a very highly intelligent person, but who was really just not emotionally available, not sensitive at all, that could have hurt you when you were, at some point. Otherwise, it feels sort of like a wound of a combination I get of like impatience and also just the wound of not letting yourself feel anything, like of shaming your emotions instead of feeling them, staying only in the logic. Yeah, it's a tough one for Geminis to do. Yeah, I think the wound is something to do with you finding a way to pull back a little bit from how much you sort of dash in there and share very quickly, or adapt yourself quickly to other people, or it's something about you giving too much of yourself, exhausting yourself, and needing to sort of pull back and consolidate without completely withdrawing. Just sort of like pull back 2 steps, don't quit kind of feeling. Just, yeah, consolidating your energy a bit better is probably the wound. And you need to be more patient. Definitely hear that. More patient with yourself. All right. Cancers, what wound are you negotiating here? What wound do you need to stand up? The High Priestess. This is deep. There's a core wound to your sense of femininity, to your sense that it's okay to be in your feminine energy. Meaning, meaning you feel safe to be vulnerable and receptive, open to your spiritual and intuitive faculties, trusting it fully, operating from your intuition versus anything else, other people's opinions, rules, fitting in, oh, but poor them, whatever motivates you normally. This is really strongly saying you absolutely must restore yourself as the High Priestess you are, which means third eye, seeing with your third eye and operating from there. If you do not feel that you can be safe and receptive enough to hear and see and act on that. If anything or anyone is interfering with that, it needs to go. That's super strong message. All right, Leos. What is your core wound? What is the wound you need to stand up and address? Nine of Wands. We just talked about that. The core wound is well, first of all, you need to feel like you have your freedom, that you're not just burdened with responsibilities as well. And you need to have the support network around you so that you can keep standing up, keep maintaining the solid sense of your life and your whatever it is, your family, your business, whatever it is that you have worked so hard for. You need to consolidate maybe more of a team or support around you so that nothing breaks or violates it. You know, it's a bit of a, you have to be willing to sort of fight for what you've already built. That could be inside yourself too. Like, it's not letting anybody take anything from you. So I don't know, Leos, if you've been feeling that. Don't give in. Don't let yourself give in. There's a bit of a feeling of like needing to stand up, stand your ground and fight a bit here. You have it in you. That Leo moon, it definitely has it in it. It's just figuring out where and with who. It's a good card. It's just like, don't let in any intruders. Don't let in all the doubters and the naysayers. You don't need that crap around you. All right, Virgos. What wound do you need to address and stand up for? Ooh, heavy. Nine of Swords. Okay. You need to stand up and address anyone around you that you do not trust. Yeah. It's a card of cruelty, betrayal, deception, two-facedness, gossipy, smeary, mild. Yeah. Cheating, you name it. All the nasty, emotional, psychological, anxiety-provoking, bitter, nasty things that could happen is the Nine of Swords. So the wound is, first of all, look around you and open your eyes. Do you trust everyone around you right now? Step two is, if you can look around you and say, yes, there's nobody that I'm concerned about who I feel is, this isn't to plant paranoia in you, by the way, Virgo. This is like, you probably already know. It's sort of admitting it to yourself. Step two is, the wound would have to be like healing from the betrayals that you've had in the past. Allowing yourself to heal from betrayal. That's a heavy one. All right, Libras, what is your core wound you need to step up to here? We got the Six of Wands, victory. It's also a Leo card. Jupiter and Leo. Well, it feels sort of simplistic to say, but I get a feeling that the wound is you have to let yourself win sometimes. Are you too hard on yourself? Are you always so worried about, you know, the underdog or the other side that you can't enjoy letting yourself win because you think it's hurting someone else or it's not fair because, you know, do you talk yourself out of whatever scenarios so that you never actually get that feeling of a win? You need to accept and let yourself have a win. That's pretty short and sweet and clear, isn't it? Jeez. All right. Scorpios, What is the wound you need to address and step up to? Prudence. Eight of discs. Well, Scorpios, I know like a lot of you give the impression that you're oh so under control and everything is always perfect and gradual and you know, you've chosen everything intentionally and you know, you people that don't know the Scorpio well, they at first, yes, they give across a very strong in control persona. And they are very strong. They are very strong. It's not about that. But underneath, you're a lot messier emotionally than you care to admit. So this is saying the wound is actually trusting to let things unfold and grow slowly, to trust the time itself and routine and repetition and, you know, that will all work in your favor. So again, Scorpio is very passionate. You know, once you get under that surface, they're much more passionate, and there's a whole ocean of emotions and big seismic waves once you get to know them for real. And so, yeah, the wound is really trust things unfolding slowly. Sort of another message of patience, but it's also a message of reframing how you see life a little bit. Because all those big emotions and waves and passion and revenge and all these things that Scorpio can be known for, but it's still deep down a belief system about how the world is or should be that can be looked at. And this card is a Virgo card, Sun in Virgo. So again, it would be coming back to, you know, the small things, the details, the noticing mindfully, bit by bit. One leaf grows and the leaf expands and another bud starts and eventually there's flowers. And it doesn't mean that it's less passionate or less meaningful somehow, or yeah, so it's a shift of mindset. All right, Sagittarius, what is the wound you need to look at and address? Okay, you got the Four of Discs, so that's a Capricorn card. It says power, Sun in Capricorn. Somehow the wound there feels to me like you would like to have more stability and power than you actually do. And so again, like the Four is all about structure and routines, boring stuff. You know, Capricorn is getting all serious now after the Sagittarius just threw a party, you know. So if you are wondering, how come I don't have X blah, 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 and you're not where you'd like to be in terms of your, I don't know, whether it's the size of your house or the status of your title, the bank account, the cottage, you know, the material stuff, but also it's also about the influence that you have, how, you know, whether you have authority, whether people take you seriously and they go to you as an expert or whatever. Now, if you're wondering, why don't I have that? It's likely the wound is, well, it feels like an ego wound, but the solution is routine and discipline. Doing more of the boring stuff will bring the trust of people, and that will gradually give you more influence and perhaps more finances, more means, more reach. So it's a slow building, structured. You have to be reliable and consistent. So if those are the things you want, it's going sort of against your nature of wanting freedom and excitement and fun. So you have to make a big values choice next about what you really want. Very philosophical. Capricorns, what wound do you need to address? You've got the Chariot. Yeah. Well, the Chariot is all about, trying to get different people and factions to come together as one so that everything can roll forward in your big glorious plans with your chariot, and most of the time the horses or these creatures at the bottom of the cart, they're like, yeah, I want to go, they want to go different directions, or they're like, yeah, I'm not moving. So you need to look at, then the Chariot is like about obstacles, and you need to look at, well, what is the obstacle to what you want? It's a very ambitious card, as you are. So you have to think about your ambition level here. Are you wanting too much too soon? Are you wanting it from the wrong, in a direction where you're forcing it and it's not really working in flow? Is there you have to look at, is there a reason why you and somebody important to you are not aligned in what you want? Because maybe it's about you and not about both of you or your team, or so it's really a time to like step back and examine what is it you really want here, and either you need a new team or partners around you to get the thing you want going, and stop struggling so much fighting with, or motivating or waiting for others to change, or lobbying them, or whatever you might be doing. On one hand, you might need to add somebody or a new team to just to go after what you want. Or you might, if it's really hard all across the board and no matter what you're trying and want, it's not working and you're not finding the right people, it's time to reevaluate the goals. Like, so the wound is sort of like, it feels like, again, sort of an ego wound of like what you want and how fast you want it. It's things don't happen because it's not all about you. And that doesn't mean you're narcissistic. I'm just saying, like, a lot of really ambitious people get really passionate about what they want. And then they can see it and they're willing to work for it. And why isn't it happening? And that's the thing you have to look at. There's some sort of wound in there. And you might even feel betrayed when things don't work the way you want and people don't want the same things you do, or they're not willing to work towards your goals. Like, so there's a lot of evaluation there in the goals themselves. Aquarius, what is the wound you need to address? The Hanged Man. Whoa. Well, that's pretty clear. How do you sacrifice yourself for others, Aquarius? Have you made yourself a sacrificial lamb for somebody? Have you been putting yourself on the shelf for so long that you can't remember who you are or what you want or what you need, or see yourself in a different way than whatever role you're playing or whatever you've ended up giving or sacrificing for others? Heavy message. Wow, wow, wow. But Pluto is in your sign, so there's a huge transformation of your identity in this next 20 years. It's not for the entire 20 years, depends where you're born. But this might sound strange because the way we describe Aquarians is very different, but this card is talking about transformation, but slow, almost imperceptible transformation by sacrifice. So if you have not been making any sacrifices for others, maybe that it's going to swing that way. There might be a situation where you have to. situationally, something makes you slow down and you have to do the mundane stuff. But it transforms you. Others of you, if you've been always just on, dangling and serving others and you don't know who you are anymore, there's 2 snakes in this card and an ankh. There's like a massive reinvention of who you are and figuring out what does your soul want, really. Massive awakening. And again, that's slow as well. You're finding out clearer and clearer who you are. And Pisces, finally, what is your wound that you need to work on? And you have the Justice card. So that very clearly for me says there needs to be a huge rebalancing of justice, meaning very likely you are on the unfair recipient side. Most of the time, most Pisces I know, they're not instigating the suffering of others. They're usually the recipient. If there's been something unfair to you, something unjust in your life, and this is on a bigger level than just one incident, this can feel really huge when you talk about justice. It's more than just fair, like check, 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 they did, Justice is deeper than that, What if, so again, it goes back in a way to the Leo moon feeling. You need to find your core strength, your warrior side, and you need to rebalance something that is not just. And if it's been, the longer it's been going on, the harder it's going to be to do it, but you have to do it. Let's say you're in a crappy situation at your job for far too long, accepting crap treatment. That is an issue of justice. There's something bigger than just one incident. You've been chronically mistreated, right? Chronically undervalued. That needs rectifying, and the Justice card is like often a legal card. So again, we've already seen stuff with unionizing and punishments of unions. With Amazon withdrew from Quebec because they were trying to unionize. So there's something deep going on there with when people are stepping up for their rights, but it needs to happen. It needs to be forceful right now. We can't just go, oh, and just be, oh, well, life will never get better. I'm just a victim forever. No, don't be a martyr. If you've been in a situation, even if it's your family and you've just been treated like crap in your own family, justice is a huge word. What would it take? What actions would it take for you to feel redeemed? And it's probably going to be a very strong action. And you don't have to do it tomorrow with the full moon, with this full moon, but this is what is very likely going to be activated. All these planets in Pisces that are crunching you right now, it's going to leave this year. Everything's going to go into Aries. You're going to feel a weight is lifted and you're ready to fight a bit, which I think is a good thing. So if any of you would like a longer reading from me, I'm always available. If you would like to sign up for my classes, I have all the links below for the classes and for how to reach me for a reading. And if you'd like to sign up for the newsletter or the Intuition Cafe, I'll have all the links below because I'm ramping up. I had a year of intense reflection and I feel amazingly better and clearer and things are coming back online again and I have my strength back. So I'm excited. So I'd love to see you out for some workshops, whether it's in person or online. And like I said, I'll be creating more stuff and I will let everybody know much more regularly than I have been. All right. Have a good full moon.